Alright, so if you're a Universal Monsters fan, then you know that Dracula, the Mummy, and the Invisible Man have all gotten their time in the spotlight with worthy, modernized reboots. But it kinda seems like the Wolfman has gotten hung out to dry a little bit. Well, his moment has finally come, so does he score top prize at the dog show here, or just go out with a total whimper? Wolfman follows a family that moves out to rural Oregon in an attempt to salvage their marriage, but when they get to their new home, they are immediately attacked by an unknown animal, causing them to barricade themselves inside as they're hunted throughout the night. To make matters worse, though, one of them slowly begins to transform into something unrecognizable. So this is definitely a movie that I was excited for when I heard that it was coming out. I'm pretty much curious about any film that deals with old school monsters like vampires or werewolves, as long as they're able to bring me something that's gritty, dark, and a little bit unexpected. I'm really not anticipating anything Oscar worthy here, so throw a movie my way that's lean and mean for me to sink my teeth into, that subverts my expectations with the subject matter, and I'll be howling at the moon in no time. Well, after seeing the film for myself, even though it fails to further the genre in the way that I was hoping that it would, I still think that there's enough here when it comes to the atmosphere, the production value, and the action to entertain fans of these types of movies. Leigh Whannell is our director this time around, and even though he only has a few films under his belt where he's the one sitting behind the camera, I've liked most of what he's done so far. Upgrade is a massively underrated sci-fi action movie that I am always recommending to people, and The Invisible Man is an interesting technological take on an old school horror legend. So it only makes sense that for his next project, he's attempting to modernize another Universal monster story and put his signature spin on the Wolfman. And I think from a technical perspective, he continues that hot streak. From the camera work to the sound design, this movie looks and feels like how I want a monster movie to operate. But when it comes to the narrative he decided to go with, that's where it starts to lose me a bit. I think it oversimplifies the Wolfman legend, and for better or worse, I'm just one of those people that prefers a more traditional approach to these types of monster movies. I'm a total sucker for all of the mythology and the rules that come along with them, like turning back into a human during the daytime or only being able to be killed by a silver bullet with werewolves, two ideas that aren't explored at all in this movie. Now, don't get me wrong, as a fan of the genre, there are definitely elements from the film that I found fresh and interesting, but I'd be lying if I said I was fully satisfied with the story and how it was all laid out in front of me. He kinda does the opposite of what he did with The Invisible Man. This is one of those movies where, since it's set in the middle of nowhere, Oregon, you need to make sure the performances are solid because there aren't gonna be that many actors involved in this kind of story, outside of maybe a couple of randos that exist solely for the werewolf to disembowel them, and that's basically what happens here. Christopher Abbott is an actor that I've really enjoyed watching over recent years, starting back in 2020 when he was in Possessor. He does such a good job playing a dude that doesn't really understand the weird, life-altering stuff that's happening to him, making him a great candidate for Wolfman, where he's kind of doing the same thing under different circumstances. And he's the standout here, as we watch him balance being a caring, attentive father, and then a disfigured, bloodthirsty beast. You gotta love a guy that has more than one side to him in this day and age. Julia Garner is our other lead here, and even though I think she's a talented actress, I didn't really buy her performance as a mother. Her character is intentionally supposed to feel distant from her daughter, but there was still something missing there for me, even with that in mind. Matilda Firth plays the young girl, and even though I'm usually pretty hard on child actors, she does a solid job and does what's required of her character. The last thing I'll touch on is the actual look and transformation of the Wolfman monster, because that's obviously something that me and a lot of other people get really excited about when it comes to these kinds of movies. And I'll be honest that I wasn't totally sold by what I saw of it in the trailer, and don't even get me started about what they debuted at Halloween Horror Nights where they made him look like a hobo on a bender, but the ultimate design and the progression really grows on you as the film goes on. By itself, it's probably not what you were expecting, but the well done body horror elements mixed with the character's progression over the course of the movie kind of made me warm up to that choice when it was all said and done. Overall, guys, Wolfman has a lot going for it when you look at the technical side of things. It's shot well, the production value is there, the atmosphere is effective, but with the way the story is set up, it actively prevents you from feeling connected to the characters and doesn't really do much to add to the mythology of the creature it's centered around. There's definitely still some Leigh Whannell charm in here, so I think if you're a werewolf movie fan, this is still worth checking out on the big screen, but it will most likely end up being a one-time watch. Wolfman gets a Sully score of 3 stars. So that's my review for the latest monster movie. What do you think is your favorite one that's ever been made? I gotta go with John Carpenter's The Thing, but let me know in the comments below what you think. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys at the next one.